The chess piece trembled in Marcus Wilson's calloused hand as he faced the smirking CEO across the polished board. Everything he'd fought for, his daughter's future, their tiny apartment, his dignity, balanced on this moment. What the wealthy executive didn't know was that Marcus had once been a chess prodigy before life dealt him a different hand. As the cameras rolled and the crowd held their breath, Marcus made his move. The CEO's smile vanished. If you've ever believed in second chances or the power of hidden talent, this story will touch your heart. Like and subscribe to see more incredible moments where ordinary people reveal extraordinary abilities. Marcus Wilson wiped his sweaty palms on his faded jeans before entering the community center. The building stood as a stark contrast to the gleaming corporate headquarters across town, the place where Dominic Reeves, CEO of Pinnacle Investments, had issued his challenge during a publicity stunt last week. "I'll donate $1 million to this community if anyone can beat me at chess," Reeves had announced with the confidence of someone who'd never truly been tested. The challenge had gone viral, with thousands of views and comments suggesting Reeves was just polishing his public image while knowing no one would succeed. For Marcus, a 36-year-old single father working 2 jobs to support his daughter Emma, the challenge represented something he hadn't felt in years: hope. 20 years ago, he had been destined for chess greatness, ranked among the top junior players nationally. Then life intervened, his parents' deaths, the responsibility of raising his younger sister, and eventually becoming a father himself at a young age. His chess dreams had been packed away along with his trophies, gathering dust in a storage unit he could barely afford. Emma, now 12, sat in the front row of the community center, her eyes wide with a mixture of pride and anxiety. She wore the blue dress they'd found at the thrift store last weekend, the one she said made her look grown up. Marcus had never told her about his chess background. There had never seemed to be a point, their life was about survival, not dwelling on what might have been. But when she'd shown him the viral video of Reeves' challenge on her school friend's phone, something had awakened in him. "Ladies and gentlemen," announced the moderator, a local news reporter covering the event, "welcome to what Pinnacle Investments is calling the Community Chess Challenge." Cameras from several news outlets pointed toward the stage where a single table held an expensive chess set, the pieces arranged in perfect formation. "Today, our final challenger will face CEO Dominic Reeves. Please welcome Marcus Wilson." The sparse applause felt like tiny needles on Marcus's skin as he walked toward the stage. He could feel the pitying glances, another hopeful community member about to be humiliated by the business mogul who had reportedly been a collegiate chess champion. Marcus wore his work clothes, he hadn't had time to change after his shift at the warehouse. His blue uniform shirt was partially hidden under his only decent jacket, a hand-me-down from his former brother-in-law. Dominic Reeves stood as Marcus approached, extending a manicured hand. "Welcome," he said, his voice carrying the polished tone of someone accustomed to boardrooms and press conferences. "I appreciate your participation." At 45, Reeves embodied success, tailored suit, confident posture, and the easy smile of someone who had never worried about making rent. "Thank you for the opportunity," Marcus replied, his voice steadier than he expected. He caught Emma's eye in the audience and gave her a small nod. Whatever happened next, he wanted her to see him trying. The rules were explained, standard tournament rules, with a chess clock giving each player 30 minutes. The game would be broadcast on screens around the room and streamed live on Pinnacle's social media channels. Already, thousands were watching online, most expecting another quick victory for Reeves, who had defeated 14 previous challengers over the past week. "White or black?" Reeves asked, gesturing to the board. "You choose," Marcus replied. Reeves smiled, taking the white pieces. "Best of luck," he said, starting the clock with a casual tap. The opening moves followed a familiar pattern. Reeves played the Queen's Gambit, a standard opening for someone with classical training. Marcus responded with practiced precision, his fingers remembering what his conscious mind had nearly forgotten. For the first 10 moves, they played quickly, almost automatically. Then Marcus made a move that caused Reeves to pause. Instead of following the expected continuation, Marcus chose a variation rarely seen outside advanced competitive play. A small furrow appeared between Reeves' eyebrows. In the audience, Emma leaned forward. She didn't understand chess, but she recognized the change in the CEO's expression. Beside her, an elderly man with a chess club pin whispered to his companion, "That's the Botvinnik variation. I haven't seen that played in years." Reeves recovered quickly, responding with a textbook counter. But 3 moves later, Marcus created a position that forced Reeves to spend nearly 5 minutes contemplating his response. The room had grown silent, the spectators sensing that something unexpected was unfolding. "Where did you learn to play?" Reeves asked casually, moving his knight to a defensive position. "Here and there," Marcus replied, not wanting to break his concentration. In truth, he had learned from his father, then from books borrowed from the library, and finally from the chess master who had seen his potential and coached him for free until life's responsibilities had pulled him away. 20 minutes into the game, the atmosphere in the room had transformed. What had begun as a publicity event was now a genuine contest. Reeves' publicity team exchanged concerned glances. This wasn't following the script of quick, good-natured defeats they had witnessed all week. Marcus sacrificed a bishop in a move that initially appeared to be a mistake. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Reeves quickly captured the piece, a smile returning to his face, until 3 moves later when he realized he had fallen into a trap. His king was suddenly vulnerable, his carefully constructed defense compromised. "Check," Marcus said quietly, placing his knight in position. Reeves stared at the board, the reality of his situation becoming clear. He had 2 possible moves, both leading to disadvantageous positions. He chose the one that would prolong the game, but his expression had changed from confidence to concentration. In the audience, Emma clutched the armrests of her chair. She didn't understand the intricacies, but she could feel the tension. The elderly chess enthusiast beside her was now recording the game on his phone, muttering, "Incredible structure. Where did this guy come from?" 7 moves later, Reeves was in trouble. His remaining time on the clock was dwindling, while Marcus still had 15 minutes. The CEO's forehead glistened with perspiration as he contemplated the board. The position was complex but increasingly favorable to Marcus, whose pieces controlled the center and threatened Reeves' king from multiple angles. "You played in tournaments," Reeves said, not as a question but as a realization. Marcus nodded slightly. "A lifetime ago." 3 moves later, Reeves tipped his king, conceding defeat. The room erupted in gasps, then applause. Emma jumped from her seat, her face radiant with pride and disbelief. Reeves stood, extending his hand across the board. "Exceptional play," he said, his voice carrying genuine respect. "I haven't been challenged like that in years." Marcus shook his hand, feeling strangely detached from the moment, as if watching it happen to someone else. "Thank you for the game." The moderator approached the table, clearly flustered by the unexpected outcome. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner. Marcus Wilson has defeated CEO Dominic Reeves." The cameras closed in as Emma rushed to the stage, throwing her arms around her father. "Dad! You never told me you could play like that." Marcus held his daughter close, the reality of what had just happened beginning to sink in. "There's a lot we haven't had time to talk about, Em." Reeves watched the embrace, something shifting in his expression. When the initial excitement had somewhat subsided, he approached them again. "A deal is a deal," he said. $1 million to the community center, as promised. Then, lowering his voice, he added, "But I'd like to speak with you privately, if you have a moment." The community center director was already making an impromptu speech about the programs the donation would fund: after-school care, job training, meal services for seniors. The crowd's attention had shifted to this announcement, giving Marcus, Emma, and Reeves a moment of relative privacy at the side of the stage. "Where did you learn to play like that?" Reeves asked. Marcus hesitated, then decided on honesty. I was ranked nationally as a junior player. Had an ELO rating of 2,340 at 17. Reeves' eyebrows rose. That's master level. What happened? Marcus glanced at Emma, who was listening intently. Life happened. Parents died. Had to work to support my sister. Then Emma came along. He smiled at his daughter. No regrets. Reeves nodded slowly. I understand more than you might think. My father was a factory worker. Chess was my ticket to a scholarship. He paused. What do you do now? Warehouse work days. Security guard nights. Whatever it takes. Emma looked up at her father, her expression suggesting she was seeing him in a new light. Dad never complains. Even when we had to move to the smaller apartment. Reeves seemed to make a decision. Mr. Wilson, Pinnacle has a foundation that sponsors chess programs in schools and communities. We're always looking for instructors with real experience. He reached into his jacket and produced a business card. Call my office on Monday. I think we might have a position that would suit your talents better than warehouse work. Marcus stared at the card, suspicion mixing with hope. Is this charity because I won? Reeves shook his head. This is business. Finding someone with your level of skill who also understands the challenges these communities face? That's rare. The publicity from today's match will make our chess initiative more visible than ever. I need someone who can deliver results. He smiled slightly. Consider it a mutually beneficial arrangement. As they left the community center that evening, Emma couldn't stop talking about the match. Everyone's going to see it online. My friend Jasmine already texted me that it's trending. Dad, why didn't you ever tell me you were so good at chess? Marcus held his daughter's hand as they walked to the bus stop. It was another life, Em. Before you. I didn't think it mattered anymore. But it does matter, she insisted. You beat that rich guy at his own game. And now maybe you won't have to work 2 jobs anymore. Marcus wasn't ready to count on that yet, but for the first time in years, he felt something like his old confidence returning. We'll see. But either way, I think it's time I taught you how to play. Really? Emma's face lit up. Do you think I could be good at it too? Marcus smiled, remembering his own father asking him the same question 30 years ago. I think you can be good at anything you set your mind to. That's the real lesson here. The following Monday, Marcus called the number on Reeves' card, half expecting to reach a secretary who knew nothing about the offer. Instead, he was connected directly to Reeves, who had already set up a meeting with the foundation director. By Wednesday, Marcus had been offered a position as the lead instructor for Pinnacle's chess outreach program, with a salary that would allow him to quit both his current jobs. The position came with benefits, including health insurance, which he hadn't had in years, and a flexible schedule that would allow him to be home when Emma returned from school. The video of the match had indeed gone viral, with chess enthusiasts analyzing the game and speculating about Marcus's background. Several had identified him as the promising junior player who had disappeared from the competitive scene 2 decades earlier. Old tournament photographs surfaced online, showing a teenage Marcus accepting trophies, his future seemingly assured. A month after the match, Marcus stood before a group of 20 children at the community center, a demonstration board set up before them. Chess isn't just about winning, he told them. It's about thinking ahead, understanding consequences, and learning that sometimes you have to sacrifice something small to gain something greater. Emma sat in the back of the room, working on her homework but occasionally glancing up to watch her father. She had taken to the game with natural aptitude, though Marcus was careful not to pressure her. If chess became her passion, he would support her. If not, that was fine too. After the lesson, as the children were packing up their chess sets, new ones donated by Pinnacle, Reeves appeared at the door. He had made a habit of stopping by occasionally to observe the program's progress. They're improving quickly, Reeves commented as he and Marcus watched the children leave. "They're hungry to learn," Marcus replied. "Not just chess. They want to believe that skill and effort can change their circumstances." Reeves nodded thoughtfully. "Like you did." Marcus smiled. "I'm still getting used to that part." "The Foundation Board was impressed with your quarterly report," Reeves said. "Enrollment is up 40% across all locations. 2 of your students have qualified for the state scholastic championship. They did the work. I just showed them how." "That's called teaching, Marcus." Reeves checked his watch. "I have a proposal for you. The foundation wants to expand the program nationally. We need someone to oversee curriculum development and instructor training. The position would involve some travel, but it comes with a significant salary increase." Marcus thought about how different his life had become in just a few months. He was using his mind again, not just his body. He was home for dinner with Emma every night. They had moved to a better apartment, and he had started a small savings account for her college education. "I'd need to make sure it wouldn't disrupt Emma's life too much," he said cautiously. "Of course. Family comes first, something I learned too late in my own life." Reeves had mentioned during previous conversations that he was twice divorced, with adult children he rarely saw. "Take some time to think about it. Talk it over with Emma." That evening, Marcus and Emma sat at their kitchen table, a chess board between them as he explained Reeves' offer. "Would we have to move?" Emma asked, carefully considering her next move in their game. "No, but I'd be traveling sometimes. Maybe a week each month." Emma moved her queen, then looked up at him. "You should do it, Dad. You're happier now. I can tell." "Am I?" He hadn't really thought about it in those terms. "You smile more. You talk more. You're not always tired." She gestured to the board. "And you're teaching me all the things you know, not just how to be careful with money." Marcus felt a tightness in his throat. "I always wanted to give you more than that." "You did. You gave me you." She grinned. "And now I'm going to checkmate you in 3 moves." Marcus looked down at the board, surprised to find she was right. "When did you get so good at this?" "I had a good teacher." She made her move. Check. 6 months after the famous match, Marcus stood on a stage in New York, addressing a conference of educators and chess instructors from across the country. The Pinnacle Chess Initiative had expanded to over 50 cities, with thousands of students participating. "Chess teaches us that every piece has value," he told the audience. "Even the pawns, especially the pawns, can change the entire game. In our communities, we have children who have been made to feel like pawns in a game they didn't choose to play. Our job is to show them that they can control their moves, that they can transform their position through knowledge and determination." In the front row, Emma sat beside Reeves, both of them watching with evident pride. At 14, she had become a strong player in her own right, recently winning her age division in a regional tournament. More importantly, she had found her voice, speaking confidently about her experiences as part of the program's Youth Leadership Council. After the conference, as they walked through Central Park, Emma challenged Reeves to a game at one of the stone chess tables. Marcus watched them play, reflecting on the strange path that had brought them here. "Your daughter is remarkable," Reeves said as Emma calculated her next move. "She has your tactical vision but more patience." "She's better than I was at her age," Marcus agreed. "And she has opportunities one never had." "Because of you," Reeves said quietly. "Not because of my challenge or the foundation. Because you were brave enough to step up when the moment came." Emma made her move, putting Reeves in a difficult position. "Your turn," she said with a smile that reminded Marcus so much of her mother. As Reeves contemplated the board, Marcus thought about all the people who had watched the video of that match, who had liked and subscribed and shared it with comments about the underdog victory. What they couldn't see was what happened after the cameras stopped rolling, the daily choices, the hard work, the rebuilding of a life one move at a time. The true victory wasn't in that single game. It was in all the games that followed, the ones Marcus played with his students, with Emma, with his own past. It was in learning that sometimes life gives you a second chance to use the gifts you thought were lost. Emma captured Reeves' bishop, her strategy unfolding beautifully. "I think I'm going to win," she said. Not because she was overconfident, but because she had calculated the position correctly. Reeves laughed, studying the board with genuine admiration. "I believe you are, young lady. Your father has taught you well." "He says chess is like life," Emma replied. "You have to think ahead, but you also have to be ready when things don't go according to plan." Marcus smiled, remembering the countless evenings they'd spent at their kitchen table, the chess pieces becoming characters in ongoing stories about strategy and resilience. Those quiet moments had healed something in him that he hadn't realized was broken, his belief that he had something valuable to pass on. 3 years after the famous match, Marcus stood in the doorway of Emma's bedroom, watching as she packed for college. Her walls were decorated with chess tournament certificates alongside her high school diploma and acceptance letter from Stanford, where she had received a partial scholarship. The Pinnacle Foundation had provided the rest. "Did you pack your travel chess set?" he asked. Emma pointed to her backpack. "First thing I packed. Can't go anywhere without it." She paused, looking around her room. "It's weird to think I won't be playing our Sunday games anymore." "We'll play when you come home for breaks," Marcus assured her. "And there's always online chess." "It's not the same." She sat on her bed, suddenly looking younger than her 17 years. "Dad, are you going to be okay? Living here alone?" Marcus sat beside her. "I'll be fine. The program keeps me busy. And I'm thinking of accepting that position on the International Chess Federation's Education Committee." "You should. You'd be amazing at that." She leaned her head against his shoulder. "I'm really proud of you, you know." "Proud of me? I'm the one who's proud of you." "No, I mean it." She looked up at him. "You could have stayed bitter about how your life turned out. You could have kept your talent hidden. But you took a chance, and you didn't just change our lives, you changed thousands of kids' lives through the program." Marcus felt the familiar tightness in his throat that came whenever Emma showed wisdom beyond her years. "I just played a game of chess." "No," she said firmly. "You showed up. That's what matters. That's what you always taught me." The day Marcus drove Emma to college was bittersweet. Her dorm room was small but bright, with a window overlooking a courtyard where students already gathered in small groups, beginning the friendships that would shape their college years. As they unpacked her things, Emma's new roommate arrived, a friendly girl named Sophia who noticed the chess set Emma was placing on her desk. "You play?" Sophia asked. "My dad taught me," Emma replied with a smile. "He's kind of amazing at it." "My grandfather taught me," Sophia said. "I'm not very good, but I love the game." Marcus watched the two girls begin to chat, finding common ground in the ancient game of kings and queens. He slipped out to bring up the last box from the car, giving them space to get acquainted. In the parking lot, his phone rang. It was Reeves. "How's the college drop-off going?" Reeves asked. "About as emotional as expected," Marcus replied. "Emma's settling in well, though." "I'm sure she is. She's her father's daughter." There was a pause. "The reason I'm calling, the international committee position." "I heard you're hesitating." Marcus sighed. "It's a big step. More travel. More responsibility. And more impact," Reeves countered. "Marcus, do you remember what you said to me after that first match? When I asked why you never pursued chess professionally? I said life happened." "Exactly. Life happened. But life is still happening, my friend. You're only 41. There's still time to make your mark on the chess world, if that's what you want. Marcus looked up at the dormitory where his daughter was beginning her own journey. I'll think about it. Good. That's all I ask. Reeves paused again. You know, I've played thousands of chess games in my life. Won most of them. But losing to you was one of the best things that ever happened to me. How do you figure that? It reminded me why I loved the game in the first place. Not for winning, but for the beauty of it. The human connection. You gave that back to me. After saying goodbye to Emma, a hug that lasted just a little too long, neither wanting to be the first to let go, Marcus drove home to an empty apartment. He had expected to feel the silence like a weight, but instead, he felt a curious lightness. He set up his chess board on the kitchen table, recreating the position from that fateful game with Reeves. The moves came back to him easily, the turning points where confidence had become certainty, where the past and present had aligned to create an unexpected future. His phone pinged with a text from Emma. Roommate challenged me to a game. Wish me luck. He smiled, typing back, you don't need luck. You have skill and practice. But good luck anyway. Another ping, love you, Dad. Thanks for everything. Marcus set down his phone and looked at the chessboard, at the final position where Reeves had tipped his king in resignation. He reached out and reset the pieces to their starting positions, ready for a new game. The next morning, he called Reeves. I'll take the international position, he said. On one condition. Name it. I want to establish a scholarship fund for parents who had to give up educational opportunities to raise their children. Not just for chess, but for any field. Consider it done, Reeves replied without hesitation. What will you call it? Marcus thought for a moment. Second moves. Perfect. 5 years later, Marcus stood in a large hall in London, watching as the first 10 recipients of the Second Moves scholarship were recognized. They were parents of various ages who had put their own dreams on hold, a former pianist now studying music education, a one-time engineering student completing her degree, a father who had shown literary promise before having to support his family. Emma, now a graduate student in educational psychology, stood beside him, applauding each recipient. This is your real legacy, she whispered. Even more than the chess programs. They're connected, he replied. It's all about seeing possibilities that others miss. Finding the right move when it seems like there isn't one. After the ceremony, they walked along the Thames, the lights of the city reflecting on the dark water. Emma had grown into a confident young woman, her mother's features now more prominent in her adult face. I got offered a position with the foundation, she said casually. Working with their research team on measuring the educational impacts of chess instruction. Marcus stopped walking. You never mentioned you applied. I wanted to see if I could get it on my own merits. She smiled. Apparently, I did. Of course you did. You're brilliant. He hesitated. But are you sure you want to work in the same field as your old man? You don't want to forge your own path? Dad, this is my own path. I'm approaching it as a researcher, not a player or instructor. She linked her arm through his as they continued walking. Besides, I learned from watching you that it's never too late to become who you were meant to be. Marcus thought about the boy he had been, the chess prodigy with dreams of grandmaster titles. He thought about the struggling single father he had become, working 2 jobs and falling asleep too exhausted to dream at all. And he thought about who he was now, an internationally respected chess educator, the director of programs that had reached over 100,000 children, a father whose daughter had grown into his best friend. You know, he said, I think I finally made the right moves. Emma squeezed his arm. You always did, Dad. Even when you didn't know the game you were playing. That night, in his hotel room, Marcus received an email from a name he didn't recognize. The subject line read, You changed my life. The message was from a young man named Jamal, who had been one of the first students in the chess program at the community center. He wrote about how learning chess had taught him to think differently about his choices, to consider consequences, to plan ahead. He was now graduating from college, the first in his family to do so, and had been accepted to law school. "I still have the chess set you gave me," Jamal wrote. "I look at it whenever I need to remind myself that I'm not just a pawn in someone else's game." Marcus read the email twice, then opened his laptop to reply. As he typed, he thought about that day in the community center, when he had sat across from Dominic Reeves with sweaty palms and a heart full of doubt. He had been playing for Emma then, for a chance at a better life. Now he understood that he had also been playing for Jamal, and for thousands of children like him. For the parents receiving scholarships. For his own younger self, who had loved the game for its pure beauty and possibility. In chess, as in life, a single move could change everything. The key was having the courage to make it, even when victory seemed impossible. Even when you'd been away from the board for so long that you'd forgotten your own strength. Marcus finished his email to Jamal, then closed his laptop. Tomorrow, he would meet with Chess Federation officials about expanding the program to more countries. There would be challenges, negotiations, logistics to work out. But tonight, he would sleep well, knowing that the game continued, that the pieces were in motion, that the board was full of possibilities. And somewhere, in community centers and schools and living rooms around the world, children were learning to play chess. They were learning to think ahead, to recover from mistakes, to find the patterns that others missed. They were learning, as Marcus had, that sometimes the most powerful piece on the board is the one that everyone underestimated, the one that quietly, persistently, against all odds, finds its way across the board and transforms itself into something greater. In the game of life, as in chess, the most important move is often the one that seems impossible until you make it.